Long before bars, bottles, drinking songs, or someone saying, "I'm never doing that again," one ancient human probably ate a piece of fruit that had been sitting on the ground for far too long. It looked questionable. It smelled worse. But prehistoric humans did not have expiration labels. They had hunger. So someone picked it up, wiped off the insects, and took a bite. At first, nothing happened. Then the trees began to feel unusually friendly. The fire looked magnificent, and a person who had spent the entire day silently sharpening a rock suddenly became the funniest member of the tribe. We will never know who this person was. We do not know where it happened, what fruit they ate, or whether their friends thought they were possessed. But it may have been one of the strangest discoveries in human history. Because the first humans did not invent alcohol. They probably found it lying on the ground. Fruit naturally contains sugar. Yeast naturally lives almost everywhere. When fruit becomes damaged, crushed, or overripe, yeast can reach the sugary juice and begin turning it into alcohol. To an ancient human, none of this would have been visible. They would only see fruit changing. Fresh fruit tasted sweet. Old fruit tasted sharp. Very old fruit made walking in a straight line unexpectedly ambitious. The first encounter may have been mild. Perhaps someone ate a handful of fermented berries and simply felt warmer, braver, and slightly more interested in dancing. Or perhaps they ate far too many. Imagine the confusion. One moment, a hunter is explaining where the herd moved. The next, he is passionately arguing with a tree. His family watches from a safe distance. Nobody knows whether he has discovered a spirit, a poison, or a new personality. The most likely reaction would not have been, "We have discovered ethanol." It would have been, "Do not eat the strange fruit." And then, several days later, someone would eat it again. That is the important part. Humans are excellent at avoiding danger. We are also excellent at repeating danger when it feels interesting. Perhaps the first accidental drink was not fruit at all. It could have been honey. Imagine a group collecting wild honey and storing it inside an animal's skin, wooden container, or hollow object. Then rainwater leaks inside. The container is forgotten. Days pass. Wild yeast enters. The sweet water begins to bubble. Eventually, someone finds it. The smell is suspicious, but the honey was difficult to collect, and throwing away calories in prehistory would be like throwing away money during a famine. So they tasted sweet, sour, strange. Then the evening becomes considerably more entertaining. Honey mixed with water can ferment into something resembling an early mead. Nobody needed to understand yeast. They only needed to remember that wet honey, left alone, sometimes became special. That may have been the first recipe. Not written on clay. Not carefully measured. Just one person pointing at a container and saying, in whatever language existed then, "Leave that there." Fruit and honey would have been easy beginnings because their sugars were already waiting. Grain was more complicated. Dry grain does not simply transform into beer because someone believes in it strongly enough. It usually needs to be crushed, soaked, sprouted, heated, chewed, or otherwise prepared so its starches become sugars that microbes can use. But ancient humans were already soaking and grinding plants for food. That means the first grain alcohol may have started as failed porridge. A bowl of wet grain sits too long. Someone forgets it beside the fire. It begins to foam. The smell changes. A cautious person throws it away. A less cautious person changes history. Maybe it tasted terrible. Early alcohol was probably not smooth, clear, or refreshing. It may have been thick, cloudy, full of floating plant pieces, and served at roughly the temperature of the surrounding dirt. But taste was only part of the attraction. After enough of it, shy people talked. Enemies became temporary friends. Bad ideas became group projects. And somebody almost certainly attempted a dangerous jump that had never seemed necessary before. This is where alcohol may have stopped being an accident and became an event. A group that discovered a successful batch could gather around it. They could share it during a hunt celebration, a seasonal feast, a marriage, a funeral, or a meeting with another group. The drink would feel unusual because everyone experienced the change together. Voices grew louder. Stories became better. Memories became less accurate. For people living without theaters, nightclubs, televisions, or organized karaoke, a pot of fermented liquid could transform an ordinary evening. It may also have seemed supernatural. The mixture looked alive. It bubbled without being heated. It changed while nobody touched it. It made people feel fearless, emotional, sleepy, aggressive, affectionate, or all five in the wrong order. An ancient community might have interpreted this as a spirit entering the drink. And honestly, if you had no microbiology and the porridge started breathing, that would be a reasonable conclusion. Soon, someone would begin protecting the process. Maybe one family became known for producing the strongest batch. Maybe a skilled brewer gained status. Maybe people argued about who had ruined the last container. Maybe the first alcohol critic appeared immediately. This is too sour. You said that yesterday. I was right yesterday. Once humans learned that certain ingredients, containers, temperatures, and waiting times produced better results, fermentation became repeatable. Repeatable accidents become techniques. Techniques become traditions. Traditions become rules. Do not open the container yet. Use this fruit, not that one. Keep it near the warm stones. Add more honey. Do not let him guard it, he drinks while guarding. Generations later, nobody needed to remember the original accident. They only needed to know that this was how their people made the drink. Alcohol may even have changed human gatherings. Food gives people a reason to come together. Alcohol gives them a reason to stay longer than planned. A successful feast could strengthen alliances, settle disputes, arrange marriages, honor the dead, or create entirely new disputes that needed settling the next morning. It could unite a group. It could also produce the first prehistoric hangover. That person may have awakened beside a cold fire with a dry mouth, a pounding head, and no clear memory of why everyone was angry. Nearby, someone had painted something embarrassing on a cave wall. A spear was missing. Nobody wanted to explain. And for the first time in human history, someone may have promised never to drink again. That promise probably lasted until the next successful batch. We cannot identify the first drunk human. The event was too ordinary to fossilize and too ridiculous to become archaeology. It may have happened with fallen fruit hundreds of thousands or even millions of years before deliberate brewing. But the real turning point was not the first time alcohol entered a human body. It was the first time someone recognized the pattern. Sweet things changed when left alone. The strange smell predicted the strange feeling. And if nature could make it once, humans could try to make it again. So the first alcoholic drink was probably not created by a genius inventor. It was created by yeast, warm weather, forgotten food, and one extremely adventurous person with very low standards. Human civilization did the rest.